shonga chuji yanji podla sen sanji kanji goni rasme shurga muzme stunza samwe lama namla sorate kirba sanji chua shikta namba trupa shonga tanta sanjine manere dambe chanso loto chamso shabla sorate lame josme jamso dojena shirka kuru tema shomlaji shenri zinga gelwe nyuku tanta trupa tanjine trupareho tanjine lame drambe kaje kosme charo shipru lazo dale jana nepre tuyo yumi chiware shinji lo. Homage to Sakyamuni Buddha, homage to His Holiness Lama Achuk Rinpoche, homage to His Holiness Gyalwe Nyugu Rinpoche. Everybody give rise to bodhicitta to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. As a very brief introduction into the preciousness of human life. And this is taught because having this precious human life is very important in terms of attaining Buddhahood or attaining enlightenment. There are two very important things. One is that we have a guru, an enlightened guru, and the second is that we have this human life. With this human life, we have this opportunity to attain liberation, to benefit countless suffering sentient beings, and to attain enlightenment as the most favorable state of the six realms. And so Buddha gave us these examples. He gave us the examples of the comparatives. There is the comparative of the turtle that raises from the sea once every 100 years, and it's a blind turtle. He compares it to the number of stars, and he compares it to the number of dust. He also tells us the 8 freedoms and the 10 advantages. And why does he do this? So that we may really appreciate that we have this precious opportunity, that this human life doesn't just happen by chance, and that we should use it meaningfully. Why do we want to attain liberation? Because, as we say earlier, especially in terms of attaining liberation, this human life is important. And why would we want to attain liberation? What do we want to attain liberation from? We want to attain liberation from our own ignorance, our own delusion. We see everything that is illusory, dreamlike, we grasp it as being truly existent, as being real, as being independent and unchanging. And because of this, because we grasp at the illusory as being real, what happens is these 5 poisons arise. Our ignorance, our attachment, our aversion, our jealousy, and our arrogance arises. And when these 5 poisons arise, what happens is we experience suffering. And the greater the attachment, the greater the suffering we have. In fact, everything that is experiencing, as explained by Buddha and explained by these enlightened teachers, is that everything is dreamlike. Everything is just like an illusion. The only difference is that it's like when in a dream, we don't realize we're in a dream, everything appears so real. Similarly, when we're living as if everything is so real and we're attached to everything, then we experience all these sufferings. All we need to do is wake up from this illusion, wake up from this dream. Why does this all happen? It's all due to our own perception, because of our own habits. We have this habit of perceiving everything as truly existent and as real. And these habits take time to change. So it's up to us to transform these habits. What do? We practice renunciation, we practice bodhicitta, we practice wisdom, emptiness. What are we renouncing? We're renouncing this wrong view, this incorrect view of ours, this habit of incorrect perception, of perceiving everything as being real. And in the teachings of renunciation, what are they? There is the preciousness of human life, the impermanence and death, the infallibility of cause and effect, and the defects of samsara. So precious human life falls into this teaching on renunciation. And Buddha really gives us these comparisons, these examples, these 8 freedoms and these 10 advantages, so that we realize what we've got. What do we do most of the time is we look at what we don't have. And so we're unhappy. We don't feel satisfied. We feel discontent. However, Buddha wants us to be aware of actually how fortunate we are to have this human life. What did Buddha do? Buddha also, he left the palace. Why did he leave the palace? He was having a great life. He was going to be the next king. He was the next in line to be the king. He was a prince. So he had all the wealth he needed, all the fame, all the status. However, he saw the suffering of sentient beings, and he really wished to find a solution, how to free, how to resolve the suffering of sentient beings. And so he left the palace. And then what did he do? He attained enlightenment. And through attaining enlightenment, he saw the truth, and he also saw how precious this human life was, or is, in order to be able to realize the truth, to attain liberation, and to attain enlightenment. And so that's why he taught it. That's why the great teachers, the enlightened teachers, teach us. It's not because they want us to fit into some kind of club, or that we have to follow what they say. It's because they saw the value of human life, and they really don't want us to waste this incredible opportunity we have. Really, it's an incredible opportunity. It has come about because of causes and conditions. And these causes and conditions have come about because of incredible merit that we have generated or accumulated in our previous lives. However, we're not going to have this human life forever. There's going to be some time when we are going to leave this human body. And it could happen at any time, really. It can happen very soon, it might happen much later. The fact of the matter is, eventually we're going to leave this human life. And do we know what life we're going to have next? Do we have any guarantee we're going to have a human life next? So will we have the chance to continue to practice the Dharma and to transform ourselves in future lives? And they know this through their own experience, through their own realization. They see what is possible for us, what potential we have with this human life. And so that's why they teach us. They teach us out of great love, great compassion, and great care, so that we have an idea that we have this human life, that we have this human life that is very, very precious and can be used very meaningfully. Of course, we can use it however we want to. Nobody can tell us how we have to live our life. These are recommendations that they give us. We can use this life to create a lot of harm and hurt and cause destruction. And then what happens is, all we do is we hurt the people around us, we hurt the world around us, and also what we do is we just generate our own future suffering. We plant those causes of suffering, and later we'll experience the result of that suffering. On the other hand, what we can do is, as we said, we can use this life to really transform ourselves, to really benefit others, to reduce our suffering, our 5 poisons, and attain liberation. Now, do people really appreciate their human life? If you look around, does it really look like people are really appreciating how great it is to have this life, how fortunate it is to have this life? Do they really think that it is a precious jewel, something to really cherish and to appreciate? I know sometimes when I go to Europe, and when you get onto the train or the underground, when you look around at everybody on the subway, does it look like everybody is really happy and cherishing their life and thinking that this life of theirs is very, very fortunate? Sometimes it really doesn't look like this. So I often wonder, do people really know that their life is fortunate? I think of myself as well. For myself as well, until I heard the teachings, I didn't think that this life was anything special. I was born by my parents, now I must live this life. And even sometimes thought, why was I born anyway? Maybe it would have been easier not to be born. All of these responsibilities, all of these hardships, sometimes not even appreciating life. And you look these days, how many people are unhappy? How many people are lonely? You hear people saying that many people in the world are lonely these days. Even in cities, people are lonely. Seems a little strange, doesn't it? There's so many people around you, but you're still lonely. People are lonely even when they're with people. In cities, there are people next door to you, maybe 10 meters, 20 meters away, 50 meters away. There's many people around, but people are lonely. Why? Is it because there's no people around, or is it because of our own state of mind? Is it because we don't really, truly appreciate this life of ours, and we haven't realized how fortunate it is? The other day, I saw a program saying that there's a silent pandemic, and that silent pandemic is depression, unhappiness. They say in this world, at least the population, the number of the population of the United States of America has depression. That's really, really a lot of people. Now, if people really knew how fortunate they were to be alive, to have this human life, they really cherished it and appreciated it, would they be so unhappy? So again, is it because of what they have or don't have, or is it because of the state of their mind? Because they don't appreciate what they've got. They're looking for what they don't have. They're unhappy because they've lost something or they haven't achieved something. This is possible. Or do they look at it and say, wow, I'm really so fortunate. I have life. I have an opportunity every day that I am alive. Every day when I wake up, think I am alive. I have this precious human life, and I am not going to waste it. If you think like that every day, what are the chances are that you are going to be so unhappy or lonely or depressed? Maybe it's still possible, but I think the possibilities are probably going to be a lot smaller. So it's good that people tell us, let us know, inform us. You know what? Actually, you have a precious jewel. Start to cultivate an appreciation within your life that you have this precious opportunity. And it takes time to cultivate this. Why? Because we're so used to these unhappy thoughts. We're so used to thinking in unhappy ways or not appreciating what we have, looking at what we don't have, always wanting something else, wanting something else. When people have achieved something, how often do they really stop and appreciate it? And for how long do they appreciate it? How long before they're starting to think already, again, what else can I get? Oh, this wasn't quite what I appreciated, what I expected. Sometimes what we really strive for, we achieve, and we're still unhappy. And this is why the great teachers, this is why Buddha teaches us that we have this human life, that it is very precious, and to really appreciate it, to cherish it, to make it meaningful, to use it well. What are so many people doing? They're projecting all of their happiness, all of their hopes, all of their desires onto the external world. How many people realize the great ability they have within themselves? How many people realize that they have this true nature, what we call Buddha nature, inherent nature, our ultimate nature? It goes by many names. And in this is a vast openness to our minds, and we have incredible qualities of compassion and love and kindness and patience and generosity and great wisdom. However, we don't see it because all of our goals, all of our emphasis, all of our focus is on the external world. And if we're always focusing on the external world, we're trying to achieve and to obtain what is limited. And when we attain it, anybody or anything might just be able to take it away at any moment. There could be a disaster, there could be a sickness, it could get stolen, it could get broken, there could be a change in economics, there could be a change in politics. We might just die, and then we leave it behind. All of these material things we are going to leave behind one day. However, our inner qualities, these are going to go with us wherever we go. If we move country, our house is not going to go with us. Possibly our car is not going to go with us, our possessions. But those inner qualities are going to go with us. And if your qualities are that of kindness and joy and of great generosity, then you easily make friends at your new place. And these qualities are there with you. And when you die as well, as we said earlier, your possessions don't go with you. But your mind continues. And those qualities within your mind continue with you as well. So if we're going to invest, why not invest in these vast qualities of our own mind? These great qualities of our own mind. And this is what these great teachers, the enlightened teachers and the Buddha want us to become aware of. To become aware of our inner potential. And our mind changes. It changes so quickly. Think in 24 hours, how many times does your mind change? Can you even try keep one thought for a few minutes? In a few minutes, our mind has maybe thought about this, maybe added this, another thought added on top of it. What about this? What about that? And then we're thinking about something else. And how many mood changes have we had during the day between feeling okay, feeling tired, feeling full of energy, feeling happy, feeling unhappy, feeling angry, feeling worried, feeling anxious. All of those might happen in one day. And how many times do they change? Are they changing? So everything is happening within our own mind. Our own perception is so important as well, is how we perceive this world. And where does this change? Where do we transform this within our own mind? So mindfulness and awareness is very, very important. Aware of what is going on in our mind. And the mindfulness, or the knowing, the wisdom to know what to adopt, what really brings us happiness and what brings us unhappiness or suffering. So knowing what to adopt and what to reject. Not only knowing what to adopt and to reject for this life, but especially for our future lives and for being able to attain liberation and to attain enlightenment and to transform all of those negative emotions. And if we do that, then we're free of suffering. Wouldn't that be great? We have this life for a short time. It's like a guest house. When we're in a guest house, we appreciate it, we use it well, it serves us well. However, at the end of the day, one day we're going to leave it behind. This body of ours is an incredible tool. With this tool, we can benefit many, many sentient beings. We can do many things. We can transform. However, at the end of the day, we are still going to leave it behind, just like the guest house. And who knows when? Maybe we're only going to have it for another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And as we get older, it becomes a little bit weaker. We're not able to do as much physically anymore. So really appreciate this life. Be enthusiastic about the fact that you have this life. Cherish it. And in that way, already life is going to become much better, much more fulfilling and much more meaningful. And of course, most meaningful is that we use this life, this opportunity to transform ourselves, to transform our inner mind, transform all of those negative emotions, practice great love, kindness and compassion, and to realize the true nature of this world, to realize wisdom, emptiness, to attain enlightenment. It's really like a great jewel that we have. Now we have a jewel, we can really think, how can I use this jewel as best as possible? Or we can just throw it away. But if we just throw it away later on in life, we might be a little bit unhappy. We might be remorseful that we threw away that great opportunity that we had with that jewel. Similarly as well, this body is like an incredibly precious jewel. It's a precious opportunity to make these changes, to use it meaningfully, to attain enlightenment. It's like the example of the beggar that has a little piece of land and a little wooden hut, and that's all he has, and he's basically just eking a living. He goes out every day and begs for food. And when he comes back, usually he has a few crusts and maybe some water to eat. And then one day somebody comes to his house and says, or his hut, and says, "Can I have something to eat? Would you help me?" And the beggar looks at him a little bit strangely and he says, "Do you realize that I'm a beggar? Are you sure you've come to the right place?" And this person says, "Yes, please, would you please help me with some food to eat?" So the beggar goes and he brings him, this person, a cup of water and half of the crusts that he's got, this little meek little offerings that he's received during the day. And this person says, "Is this all you're going to give me?" And the beggar's a bit taken aback. He says, "This is half of what I've got for the day, and I'm giving it to you out of great generosity, and you are saying, 'Is this all you're going to give me? Why do you say this?'" And the person says, "What do you mean? You don't realize that you're so wealthy?" And the beggar says, "What do you mean wealthy? Look, this is what I'm offering, half of what I've got. What do you mean wealthy?" And the person says, don't you realize that your home is built on gold? So you see, the beggar didn't realize the great potential that he had, that his house was on gold. He has all of this wealth there waiting for him, just for him to be able to mine it and to use it. Similarly as well, this is why our teachers are telling us we have this human life. It is like this story with the beggar. We have this great opportunity, this great potential. First, it's important that somebody tells us, makes us aware of it, realize that we have this great opportunity. And then important as well is also that we put this opportunity to great use. So we have to cultivate the state of mind. We have to return to the state of mind. We have to release, or we have to let go of and transform all of these habits of ours, especially these 5 poisons. Just like milk. Within milk there's butter. But to get the butter, you have to churn the milk. And from that milk then comes the butter. However, if you don't churn the milk, then the butter doesn't come. The same as well. We have this great potential. We have this Buddha nature. However, we have to practice, we have to meditate, we have to transform this mind of ours to realize our true nature, this incredible potential that we have. And how did this problem all come about? Is because of our own ignorance. Who imprisoned us? We imprisoned ourselves. We put ourselves in prison through our wrong view, through our misunderstanding of the way things really are. And so that, as they say, is good news. Why? Because if we put ourselves into prison, we are the ones that can free ourselves. How do we free ourselves? By practicing, by realizing the true nature of things, to practice renunciation, to practice bodhicitta, to practice wisdom emptiness. Practice according to the step-by-step procedures given to us by our guru. So we need a guru, and what do we have? We have this precious human life. So take time every day to really appreciate what we've got, cherish what we've got. How often do people stop and take time to cherish what they have, to cherish that they have life, to cherish that they can breathe, that they can eat, that there are other people in the world. There's so many things to appreciate and to be grateful for. Our health. We have all of this, and yet why do we spend so much time and so much effort at being unhappy, thinking about all of the things that make us unhappy, discontent, dissatisfied? We have this opportunity for happiness, for joy, every moment of the day. Why put your happiness in a box for a later day? You might not get the opportunity to open that box. As we said earlier as well, we might get what we want, but we might not like what we want. Don't wait for another day. Appreciate life. Start cherishing it from today and use it meaningfully. They say, like what you have instead of trying so hard to get what you like. Just a shift in perception. Start appreciating what you have. As we said earlier, the fact that we have oxygen, that we can breathe, that we're healthy. So many things to appreciate. So Buddha taught us these comparisons so that we realize how fortunate it is that we have this human life that comes about because of great merit in our past lives. So the first example he gives us is that of the turtle. He says there's a blind turtle at the bottom of the ocean. And once every 100 years, only once every 100 years, it rises from the bottom of the ocean to the top of the ocean. And on that ocean is one piece of wood. And it's floating around randomly on top of the ocean. What are the chances of, when the turtle rises to the top of the ocean, that its head hits or touches that piece of wood? So small. The odds. You think that piece of wood is floating randomly over the whole ocean. The opportunity is so minute. This is how fortunate it is to have this human life. The second is that he uses the example of the stars. He says, just like there are as many stars as there are at night, compared to the stars that there are, in number of stars there are during the day, is the comparison between how many hell realm beings there are compared to the number of beings in the Preta realm. And then compared to the number of Preta beings in the Preta realm as compared to animals is the same. As many as there are stars at night is the number of Pretas compared to the number of stars during the day, the number of animals. And then compared to that, the number of humans compared to the number of animals is also compared to the number of animals compared is as many as the stars at night compared to the amount of stars during the day is the number of humans. So again we realize how incredibly precious it is to have this human life. And another example that Buddha gives is he says, if you take all of the grains of sand on the entire earth, that is how many beings are in the hell realms. Compare that to the amount of sand particles there are in the Ganges River in India. That's how many pretas and hungry ghosts there are. So that is the number of hell beings compared to the number of beings in the Preta realm. Then if we compare all of the grains of sand in the Ganges River compared to the amount of sand in a barrel, is comparing how many Preta beings there are compared to the amount of animals. And then we take that amount of dust particles or sand particles in a grain, in a barrel, compared to the amount of dust particles or sand particles that we might find on the tip, on our fingernail. That's the comparison of the number of animals compared to the number of human beings and gods. And so when we compare this, then we really see, wow, we really, in this comparison, how fortunate it is to have this precious human life, to have this human life. Now we might think and say, there are so many humans, there's 7 billion humans on this world. So first is that we can't conceive of all of these hell beings because we've never seen them. We haven't seen these hungry ghosts. So it's, for our mind, it's very, very difficult to understand. But at least we can consider the example or the comparison of the number of humans compared to the number of animals. If you look on Google, what does it say? The amount of ants there are, just ants, compared to the amount of humans there are, is for every 7 humans, there is 1 million ants. So this is really a vast difference, 1 million to 7. Now this is just the ants. Now if we take all of the insects, all of the worms, any living creature, the fish, the birds, animals, then maybe it's going to be 10 million or 20 million or 100 million to 1. I'm not sure of the number. But then you start to see that this example actually starts to make sense. It's actually a fair example. We are born as humans. How come we weren't born as those animals? What is the chance of being born as an animal compared to being born as a human? Much greater chance of being born as an animal. So really, that we have been born as a human is really, really very fortunate. We have attained this human life through our virtuous karma, all the great merit accumulated in our past lives. Remember, we don't know how long we have this life for. Maybe we don't appreciate it so much because we have it already. So we don't think it's anything special. As we say, very often people think it's nothing special at all. It's very important that we change this mindset. Change this mindset to really appreciating this life, appreciating what we've got, cherishing it and using it meaningfully. And really do these meditations, these contemplations. Contemplate on this again and again so it isn't something that you just think for 5 minutes and then you forget about it. That through your day you are always reminding yourself this life is precious. Am I using it meaningfully? Am I appreciating it? Am I enthusiastic about my opportunities? so that this Dharma, this practice really enters into your mind stream. It's not just a theory. Oh, I know that. The question is not whether you know it. The question is whether it's become part of your life, the way you are living. This is what is so important. So again and again, meditate on this, contemplate this, transform your mind to cherishing this great opportunity that one has of having a human life and use it meaningfully. And then when we really appreciate this life of ours, when we really understand what a great opportunity it is, then we will also appreciate the lives of others. And then let's dedicate these merits. First, let's dedicate in the greatest of gratitude to all our enlightened teachers for sharing their wisdom and their compassion with us. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience, having defeated the enemies of wrongdoings in the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. May all be liberated from the ocean of the suffering of samsara. Sonam deye tamcha tsepane, togne nyepe tranam kaje, yeka nache balam trupai, tsipi tsoli droa sho. You can do these contemplations anytime. If you're doing sitting meditation with the contemplations, follow the set procedures. Don't interrupt your meditation session. Don't get distracted as best as you can. Start with the 7 points of Varitsana, then the 9 Buddha breaths. Give rise to bodhicitta. Contemplate the 4 points that turn the mind towards renunciation. Pray to the Guru. Receive the 4 empowerments. After receiving the 4 empowerments, abide in that state for a while. And when those discursive thoughts start arising, then start your contemplation. Contemplate how precious it is to have this human life. And when you finish your contemplation, dedicate the merits to the benefit of all sentient beings.